Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight we're going to talk about optionals and best practice because it is very, very easy to use the optionals the wrong way. First of all, shout out to J Champions. They have this awesome conference. It was free this year right here. It was a remote conference and it just ran in end of January. They have all of their videos on their YouTube channel, so go check them out. It was actually they actually triggered me to make this video about optionals because they have a very good video about optionals. So go check that one out also if you want to learn more about optionals. So first of all, I have created this. Let us just jump right into it and see some examples, right? So that is what I will do now. So first of all, this is a new project that I've made with IntelliJ. I pressed File, New Project right here. Then I chose Spring Initializer. I gave it a good name. I chose Maven, and I chose Java 21. And then I added the web module, the Lombok module, and also the H2 and the Spring Data module. And then I pressed OK, and then I got this project right here. Then I cheated a bit. I went in and then I created my first data entity right here. So this is my entity that I have right here. It's a hero. The reason why I'm using heroes now is that actually there are a lot of these heroes. They are public domains. So that means I can actually take and use a lot of these heroes without, and I can actually choose how to use them myself. And there's a whole list on this page right here. On heroes, Robin Hood, Zorro, Dracula, Sherlock Holmes, John Carter, they are all public domain. And what does that mean? According to ChatGPT, then it means that that you can use them. You can use them for new stories, but you should be, of course, be aware that there might be other people that made stories or graphics or drawings that are copyrighted, so maybe you cannot use that. But that was a long story about heroes. That is just why we have a hero right here. The hero has an ID, a name, a power, and a perspective. So the first thing is that, okay, what if I have a field that can actually be null right here? Maybe it could be maybe we have a string with the right hand equipped, so this is the weapon that we have in the right hand. Sometimes there's no weapon in the right hand, so then this one would be null. So why don't we make that an optional? So that is the first no and no-go right here. So we make an optional, and this could be a string like this. Sorry. You would never do that because an optional. To spoil the whole best practice video, then I can just tell you an optional is a wrapper. It's something that should help you out. It's something that should help you out handling the nulls, not anyone else. So you should not use optionals as for fields. You should not use optionals in your APIs. You should not use it. You should not wrap lists because a list is also a container that is also a wrapper. You should not wrap keys or values in a map because there are actually ways to handle that inside a map. And you should not wrap a map by itself because that is already a container. And you should not force anyone that uses your code to actually wrap anything. So first of all, if you want to have a null value right here, then that's perfectly fine. You don't need an optional to handle that part right here. JPA and will actually store a null value in your database, and which is fine, of course. So don't try to make up problems that are actually not there. This is an enum I have right here. Hero's life perspective. That is if it's a good hero, bad hero, or in between. Now, let us create some tests so we can actually play around with this hero. I'm placing the cursor of the hero, then I press Alt-Enter. Then I say create tests, give me a hero test, yes. And for this exercise right here, then I'll just take I'll say here we can get a list of heroes. We don't need to have any scope on it, so we'll just say list of heroes right here. So we have a list of heroes, and then we will say heroes. And here we will say list that off, and here we can create all of our heroes right here. A good thing is actually to add the builder pattern with Lombok, because then you could and also add the no-args constructor and the all-args constructor, so the API knows what you're doing. The reason why I like to have the builder pattern right here is that if you change your fields or the order of your fields, let's say that you put name one down, or maybe you add some extra fields in between. Then if you use a constructor, maybe you have an all-args constructor from Lombok, then you would actually get that constructor will be ruined, and you would have to go all the places where it's used, and then you have to update your code. That is really annoying. So that is why I use the builder pattern. That means that when I create a hero, then I say builder.name, and this could be Zoro, right? So this is just Zoro, and perspective, this is a good hero, and right-hand decrypts, and there's some kind of sort, right? And then we say, yeah, ID. We don't have to create the ID. We don't have to think about that. The power, that could be a number between 1 and 10, and this he's quite powerful. He got a 6, and then we say, build. So let us just start right here. So we are going to return list of, and that one right here. So this means that if the constructor is changed, then there's no problem because we're using the builder pattern right here. Okay, so now let us create a test right here. Void test heroes right here. So the first thing we could actually do was that we could actually have a map. A hash map maybe even, so we can say we have a map, and that could be maybe we want to map these heroes on what do we want to do right here? We want to give them maybe this perspective here that could of course that can also be null, yes. So okay, we want to sort them by perspective, so we say hero live perspective, that is the key. And then the value is the hero itself, like this. So here we have heroes by perspective, like this. And of course, we could actually have done this with streams, and then we can create a cool map with that. But for fun, then we're going to create the hash map right here. And the reason why we do that is because then we can actually put a null value here. So let us see that we actually have a null value right here. And here we have the hero. Let us just say we need to get one hero. So this is a list of heroes. We will save that for later. And then this is just one hero. One hero, like this. So this will just return one hero. And do we still want to return the Zoro? Yeah, that's fine. So we still return Zoro. So now we have one hero right here, and of course I misspelled it, so I'll just say hero like this. Okay, so now we have actually put into our hash map. We have actually placed the hero on a null value key. So that's not good, right? So shouldn't we use an optional here, right? So why won't we just use an optional right here? Then because then we can actually handle whether it's null or not, and maybe now we add it. Now why don't we also, we could also create a optional here, right? So if the hero is null, then we would also know that, right? So first of all, what happens here now? Now we're forcing ourselves to actually do something, and to waste time on adding optionals instead of just adding the objects themselves. So instead of doing this, then there are actually methods to handle this. This is very, very ugly. You should never do that. So that instead, then you can actually say, if you want to check for null, then you can say heroes by perspective, and then you can actually ask key. That's here. You can actually ask, does it contain this key? Does it contains key? And you can also say here we have the key set. Then we have compute if absent. So that means that if the key is not there, then we can actually do something, right? So we have a compute if present. That means that we can run some code if the key is actually there. And get our default, right? Look what we got right here. So here we have get our default. So that means that if we get something and it does not exist, this could be the hero perspective goods. So right now we know that that does not exist. Then we can actually say, what should we then return? And then we can return another hero, right? So that could be another hero. That could be, which one should that be? Where are my lists of? That's Frankenstein's monster. So let us just let's do that. So Frankenstein's monsters. Frankenstein's monster, and he is actually a good guy, right? Even though he's quite scary in the old black and white movie, right? And he's also he's not that powerful. He's very friendly actually. And what does he have? He has nothing in his right hand. He uses his bare hands. It is it's a whole mob with the pitchforks that they have a pitchforks in their hand, but the Frankenstein's monster does not have anything at all. So here we say monster. So here we have the monster right here. So now I can actually say hero, and then we can say my hero right here, and then we can say equal to. And then if there is a hero on that has a good life perspective, then we will get that. But if there's no other hero like that, then we will just get the monster, right? So that means that if we just print out that's my hero right here, my hero plus my hero like this. And this is a test, so we will annotate this with test like this. Now I can press play. And then I can run my test, and then I can see that this actually works. So that we already okay. So the point right here is of course not to play, and of course just gave us a very ugly toString method right here. So let us just add that add toString. Actually, let us add data to this entity right here, data. So now I'll get a good toString method. We'll press play again. So let us see what kind of hero we get. It should say, yes, look, now we get this beautiful toString method right here. Frankenstein's monster, power 3, yes, that's really, really cool. And if we choose to add another hero with the good perspective, it could actually be that we place, we can also place Zoro there. So he's both placed on the null, on the null key, and also now on the good key. That means that then, of course, we will get that out instead. So there's no reason for using optionals and all of the cool methods that are on optionals right here. That will be a not best practice. That will be that would be a what you call a bad practice. So that's quite cool. So now we have this one right here. Another thing that we don't want to do is that we do not want to create an API or create something where we actually need. So let us create a REST controller right here. So hero REST controller. Here we have a request REST controller here, and then we have a request method, request mapping. So yes, that was. And then we just say /hero. And then we can then we can say post. Maybe we will actually have a post mapping that the people can actually create a hero right here. So here we return a hero. Of course, you should never return the entities. You should create a DTO. I'm just too lazy to do that right now. You should use a DTO instead, and you should also use something like mapstock to map from your entity to the DTO or another mapping framework. The important thing is when you choose your mapping framework, it needs to be something that actually generates and compiles into class files. If it's something that runs runtime, then it will be slow. It will just be slower than if it's something that is generated that generates the classes. Just so you know that. So if you're in any doubt, use mapstruct. So it's very cool. It's very easy, and it's very easy. Yeah, it's very easy to add to a POM XML file or to a build.gradle file. Enough about that. Sorry about that. Here we say create hero. And then maybe here, then you will start using optionals. So here we can actually say optional, and then optional. Then we say optional. Maybe you will have a string that could be a name. But again, now if I just want to create a hero now I need to wrap my name into now I just have to wrap my string into an optional. That is really, really annoying, and it's really ugly, and you should never do something like this. And it also applies to code that other people have to use. It means if you have something public that other people should use, you should definitely never add optionals as arguments. In general, don't use, if you're in any doubt, don't use optionals as parameters to any of your methods. It is very, very wrong. It is very ugly. So what you would do instead right here, if you really want to check for it, then the right way to use this is optional, and then you can say off nullable, because you don't know if this is null or not, right? So you don't know if this name is actually null, and then you can say or else, and then you can actually come with the other string. And in this situation, it could be let us see if there's a public domain. Let's see if there's a woman. There's a Alice. Yes, Alice in Wonderland. So here then we will say Alice. So if the name is null, then we want to use Alice, and again we can say return hero.builder, and then we will say name, and then now we are creating this. Of course, we should also store it and persist it to the database. You know that. Now we are just playing around. And power, Alice is not that powerful. Of course, in these days, if she feels like she wants to have 10 power, then she should get 10 power. It doesn't matter how big she is or whether she trained to be a Jedi like Rey, that did not train at all to be a Jedi, but still she has power 10 just because she really thinks that she's entitled to. That was again a sidetrack. Let us now go to perspective. So we will just say she's very good. She wants the best. She just follows a rabbit, and then stuff happens. So yeah. And we don't want to create the ID. That is the job of the database. So now we're building that and returning that. So this is the right way to use the optional. You should not enforce others. It is probably because you're lazy that you are trying to enforce others to actually give you an optional. An optional, that is something you wrap your objects with to make your code look nicer and more readable. That is why you use the optional. It is something you wrap your code with, and you would never wrap a list. You should never wrap a map. You should never wrap keys inside a map. You should never wrap values inside your map. It is ugly. It's bad. It's wrong. You can handle this in so many other better ways. Now we have the optional right there. Of course, you could also have done something else. So let us check right here. Let's say that you actually wanted this name, and if it is null, then you could actually, or else throw. So that means you can actually throw an exception. This will throw a generic. It will actually show it's not exception or something like that. No such element exception. That is what it will throw. And of course, when you throw something, you should actually. It is okay to have a. It's okay to have a generic exception right here, but if you want to make your code more readable, also when you need to debug afterwards, then you could actually create your own exception and extend that, and then you could throw that instead. But it's okay here. Or else throw. That means that we'll actually throw an exception and fail if it is null, if the name is null right here. And of course, you can also do that down here. You don't have to. You don't have to do it before, so you can actually say just throw it right here. So now in this situation right here, you will not get else back. You would just throw an exception instead. Another thing is if you need to do some, maybe you have a flow, you have some kind of data flow where you have to call some code, depending on this name right here. That here you can actually say if present, and then you can actually write some code. And here you have here's the name, and then you can actually write your codes like I forgot the round brackets. So here we have the name. Let me just see right here. It's already defined as to so let us just say in. in that is the name right here, and then we say we just then we do something with it, we process it, we do something exciting with it, we call some of our business flows. So, and in our situation, we'll just system out it. Name is present, like this. But of course, something important could happen here, right? And of course, usually when if you're using Spring Boot, then you would have created a service where you hide away this code, where you do something important, and then you can have your controller to actually control what is coming in and what is being returned, based on all of the greasy and ugly work that is done by your service. And don't feel cheap with your services. Create as many services as you need. Don't try to cram it thousands lines of code in the same file. That's a general tip right there. So here we have a present, blah blah, and then we do that, and we can also say if present, then we do that, and we can also say if present or else. So then we actually have two right here. So if present or else is this one right here. So that means that if it's present, what should we do? Then we do the first action, and then we have the second. If it is null, if it's not there, then we do this. So if there's no name, what should we actually do? We could actually complain, so we can whine a bit. Whine where no name was provided. So that is one thing that we could do. So this is our business processing that we would usually place in a service instead. And then after when we're done with that, then we actually then we return Alice if there was no name. And then, yeah, so then we just create Alice right there. So I think that's actually quite good. Again, should we just, let us create a test for this. Alt enter. You just go to the end of your. There are many ways to create tests in CLJ. You can also press shift twice, and then you can create tests. I think you can do something as easy as that. Yes, and then you can choose, just check off your methods and say okay, and then a new test was actually created right here. And of course, you could inject it if I annotate with Spring Boot, and I could inject it. And now right now we say new hero controller. Now I'll just create a. I don't want the whole Spring context up and running. It takes a bit of time, so now I just do this and I say, and that is also why you want your logic to be in other classes, so then you can unit test your logic. You shouldn't have to spin up your whole context every time you want to do stuff and test your code. It takes time with those tests, and that means that the test code is actually also code that you have to maintain. So then every time you do any change, then you will also have to maintain your code. That's also the good thing, because then you have something that breaks when you're refactoring stuff. Then it's really valuable to have that. But you should not create slow tests, because you want to run your test all again and again and again. So if a test take let's say 1 minute to run, then you're wasting everybody's time. You're wasting 1 minute of everyone's time. Every time you want to run something, or when you want to run all of the tests at least. So if you can save 1 minute, it's a lot, because it's multiplied by the number of developers that you have, and multiplied by the number of times they run it per day. Okay. Create hero. So first we'll say null, and we'll see what happens. We get one hero right here. Then after that, we will try and say, of course, no test is a test without any assertions, and you should just assert yay for that purpose, because it is more readable. Of course, assert for yay. 5 and the head. Yeah, 5 is also okay. But assert for j is more readable, and it is already part of Spring. So here we have the name. This could be Mike in this situation right here. So we have one that's null, and then we have Mike right here. So let us run this test right here and see what happens. And no, it's not a test, because we do not assert anything. Yeah. Oh, the first one says whine where no name was provided. Name is present, Mike. Okay. So far so good. Now let us play with the lists, because why can't I wrap a list inside an optional? It's just because it's bad practice and it's ugly, and you already have a wrapper. A list is a wrapper. You can actually create your own extension of a list if you want to, but you can also just use the You can also use the default list that is already there. It has a lot of cool, things. So let us get a list. So we say heroes right there. So here we say new array lists and stuff in the heroes like this. Introduce new variable. So now we have some heroes right here. So then we can actually ask heroes that is empty. Wow, that's a wrapper call, right? So here we can see, is it empty or is it not empty? So why would we need to check if it's null? Oh, but maybe this list up here, maybe that is null, and then we want to check it with an optional. No, you do not want to do that. You want to ensure that you always get a list. You would just leave your list empty if it's a method that you're using. So let's say that this is a method instead. So let us just create a method. So this is the test. And here we have some provide list, or print out heroes. So here we have print out heroes, and then we actually take a list as an argument right here. List right here. And then we can then ask if it's empty, then we do something, and if it's not, then we do something else, right? Is empty. If it's empty, what should we do? Then we just say, oh, no heroes were provided. And of course, then the calling code knows that this is a list. So of course we would never call this with null, right? So it's just a list. So you would just say list of nothing if that's it, an empty list, right? That's how you would call it. If you call it with null anyway, then it's because the caller did not understand what this is all about. So yeah, and you can actually, and of course there are ways to show everybody that you can actually show this should be non-null, or you can annotate it with that and all that. But yeah, whenever you see a list, then you should never give it a null. You should always give it an empty list if you want to give 0 elements, of course. You should do not provide null, and do not use that a list can be null. It's a list, and you have a number of elements inside that list. That's what you need to use, and that's what we need to play with right here. So here we have heroes is empty, or else we will just take each of them, heroes for each, and then we can actually then put them out, system out, and then we use something called a method reference, which will say that we'll take each element, and then it will call system out println on each element right there. So let us see how this works. And right now it's actually empty. Yeah, okay, so first it's empty, that's fine. Then we want to print out our heroes right here. So here it is, heroes. Run the test. Yes. So first, no heroes were provided. Yes, thank you very much for that. And here's the hero. Zoro power 6. Yes, thank you very much. That's a cool hero. I am very impressed. That was good code right there. So. What was it that what else? Okay, so when do we want to use it? So now we've seen a lot of weird places where we should not use it. We should not use it as member variables. We should not use it as a type. We should not use it for entities. We should not use it for DTOs. Then we should not use it in our records. When should we use it? Yes, we should use it when we want to check for something ourselves. It's a utility. It's a tool for us to use in our toolbox. So let us say that we went down in this print out heroes right here, and let us say that we had a print out one hero instead. So maybe we have a print out one hero. So print out one hero right here. And here we have a hero, and that's sometimes this hero right here, it's null. So sometimes it's null. We don't know. Whenever you see an object like this, then people could provide a null to that. So what will we do then? So first of all, we will say an optional dot you know that if you use the off, then it needs to not to be null. That is when you know that it's not null. But if it could be null, then you say of nullable like this, hero, like this, and then you actually say what should happen, what should happen if it's null, and what should happen if it's not null. What you should not do is present if. Of course, you could do this, but yeah, you could actually do this. It's just ugly. So if it is present, then you would print out hero. If it's not null, then you whine about it, right? Blah blah. No hero provided. So this is very ugly, but you can do that. That's but it's a lot of unnecessary lines. What you would do is what you saw before actually is present or else. So here we have two. Now we have two lambdas right here. So the first one we can actually just print it out. So that means again we would use the method reference like this. So if we have it, we will just print it out. If it's not there, then we will print something else out, right? This code that we have right here, like this. Look how beautiful it became, this code right here. So let us test that. So I'll just duplicate these lines right here. I'll put it down here. Test 1 hero. 1 hero. So then we can say print out 1 hero. And just for fun, then I'll print out null. And then after that, then I'll print out the Zoro guy. Zoro dude right here. Yes, so let us see what happens. If it's null, then we say blah blah, no hero provided. If it was a hero, then it says yes, here's Zoro, power 6, perspective good, right hand equipped, sword yes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. I think you know now how to use optionals, and I hope you understand why it is ugly and unnecessary to use optionals or to overuse optionals. So of course you can also use them too little, because they should be used when it can clarify and make readable code readable, because you know that you write code once, but you read it you read it multiple times, right? So it's a readable code that is maintainable code usually. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great evening, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.